So Ronda Miller from Making It Personal Printing. We've had the opportunity to meet a lot of you in our little shop there, and it's always a pleasure to help support your businesses. What I am here to do today is find out a way that I can support you in improving communications. Stephen Covey always tells us to sharpen the saw, right? Don't keep using the same tools over and over. Go back, find new tools, find better ways to do what you're doing. So what I want to do is give you a little bit of a Dale Carnegie training course this morning. It's from their signature course, Effective Communications and Human Relations. This is a skill set that they teach on the very first night of class. It's something you'll find that you can use in many different ways in your life. It's a way that we can learn to memorize a list of items, okay? This is not a specific order. As we build this communication stack, is what they call it. Has anybody ever heard of that? Communication stack? Okay, new stuff. All right. So this will be good this morning. It teaches us how to memorize a long list of things, and we can recall them instantly. The way we do this is we create these visual images in our mind. They're very specific, but they're big, they're exaggerated, they're funny as well. This all helps us in our memory recall, okay? So let me set the stage for you. A lot of you go to networking events. I know that's something that you practice and you do a lot. Have you ever gone to that networking event? You get to meet that person that you've been wanting to network with for so long. You do all the right protocol. You wait for the nod. The conversation's open. Now you get to talk to them, and your mind goes blank. You can't think of a thing to say to them, right? Well, this communication stack that we're building this morning, just 5 different topics really, will give you that instant recall of any question, any topic that you can recall in a moment, okay? So, in true Dale Carnegie style, I'm going to ask you to all stand up, let's get involved, lots of high energy. All of this helps us to commit this to memory, okay? Give yourself a little bit of room to spread out here, because what we do is lots of motions as well. It helps us to commit all of this to memory. What we're doing is building a stack of visual items in our mind, okay, to help us recall different topics. So, when you're meeting a person for the first time, what's probably the first thing that you want to learn about them? Their name, okay? So let's visualize a nameplate, a really nice mahogany nameplate. It's got that gold plate that's etched. For now, all we're going to see is the word name on this nameplate. But remember I said these are exaggerated, right? So this nameplate is huge. It's the size of a football field, okay? Everybody got that visual in your mind? Okay, so the first thing we start in our stack with is what? Nameplate, okay? And then how big is it? Okay, so the next thing we're going to build on this stack, we're going to place a house. This is your dream home. Visualize what your dream home looks like, okay? Now take a closer look at this dream home. You see doors and windows in it. And look, in the windows you can see little kids waving at you. Maybe there's mom and dad standing in the doorway. And there's perhaps a dog running across the yard, okay? Think of all these different things. What different topics could you talk about to this person when you think about a home? What question might you ask them?
Where you're located?
Where you're located?
How many kids you have?
Yeah, do you have kids? Okay. Do you live nearby? Have you always lived here? Go ahead. What's that?
Dog you have?
Yeah, do you have pets?
Pool
Okay.
table?
A pool table. Why not? Okay. So lots of different things. This is one visual, gives you lots of things to talk about, okay? So let's start over at the beginning. The first thing in our stack is what? Okay. How big is it? All right. On top of that, we have our
House.
Okay. What are topics we're going to talk about?
Kids.
Where you live. Okay, lots of topics there. All right, on top of the house, continuing to build our stack, there's a chimney on top of the house. Rising up out of that chimney is a work glove. Work glove. Okay, when you think about that, what sort of topics might we think of? What might we ask?
Home improvement.
Okay. Yeah, there you go. Okay, maybe what do you do for a living? Yeah. Okay, what's your occupation? How long have you been there? How about, do you like what you do? What's your position there? Okay, lots of different topics there about work, right? All right, let's start over. Again, at the beginning of our stack is what? Nameplate. Okay, and then on top of that we have a house. And what topics might we talk about there? Kids. Where do you live?
Full table school.
Pool tables. Very good. Okay, on top of the house we have a chimney. Rising out of the chimney is what? Work glove. And we'll talk about what you do for a living.
Position, how long?
Very good. Okay. All right, now let's take a look at that work glove. Visualize that. It's reaching up. It snatches an airplane right out of the sky. When we think about airplanes, what do we think about?
Travel. Vacation.
Okay. Well, lots of different things. Maybe they ask if you've got a vacation coming up. You could even relate it to yourself. Remember, this isn't a list of questions like you're preparing for a 60-minute interview or something like that. These are all conversational, and as I said, you can jump in and out of these different topics in this stack at any point. You don't have to wait, like they bring up vacation, you think, oh, wait, we got to talk about these other things first. There you go. Okay. All right? Any order, but it's to recall all these topics and different questions, okay?
Corey's mom said.
All right. So we've got an airplane and a work glove, right? We're going to add one more thing to this. So we're going to build all the way up to the stack and then review it one more time. And then I'll recap and tell you different ways we can use this technique, okay? So we're going to start at the bottom. What do we have?
Nameplate.
How big is this?
Football.
Okay. On top of that, we have a
House.
topics we're going to talk about are
Kids.
where you live.
Visitors.
Good. There's windows. On top of the house, what do we have?
Glove.
Work glove. What questions might we ask? Okay, lots of good questions there. The work glove snatches what out of airplane, and we can talk about what?
Vacation.
Okay, lots of different topics to talk about there. Now, if we take a look at this airplane, look really closely, those aren't propellers on each side of this airplane. One side has a tennis racket, and the other side has a baseball bat. Sport.
It's a big question, Bert.
Where are the propellers, right?
Those people are going to die.
What sports do?
For sure. Think of sports. You could put anything in there to talk about hobbies. What do you do in your spare time? What do you do for fun? Okay? Lots of different things in there to talk about something other than work or where you're from. All right? One more time through the whole stack, okay? We start with a
Nameplate.
okay, we add a and we talk about what?
Families, dogs,
Where you live. On top of the house, we have a chimney. Rising out of the chimney is what?
Work glove.
And we talk about what?
What you do.
Position.
Okay, lots of good topics there. This work glove snatches what out of the sky?
Airplane.
Okay, and we talk about
travel, vacation.
Vacation.
okay, lots of good things there. And then if we look closer at the airplane, what do we see?
Tennis racket.
And
Baseball bat.
Badminton.
badminton. Why not? Right?
Sports.
Okay. What do you do for fun? Okay.
Hobbies.
Hobbies. Very good. All right. Give yourselves a hand. Good job on that. You guys can have a seat. Let me wrap this up for you. Thank you for your participation in that. So that's called the communication stack. It's a way of remembering a list of things. How many times have you gotten that call that says, hey, on the way home, can you pick up these items from the grocery store for me? Right? And you get home and think, I forgot that item. Okay? So how many of you interview other businesses, let's say, to find out could they be a potential business partner for you or other individuals? Okay? You probably have a long list of questions that you want to ask, but you never want to show up with this list and fill in the blanks, right? You want to look professional. You want to be able to memorize those questions and keep it flowing very freely. What I had to do with University of Phoenix, I was there and spent a lot of time as a business development manager nationally. They had switched to a business-to-business model instead of recruiting one student at a time. They had this list of 26 questions that we absolutely had to remember to ask in this interview, because when we got back to our desk, we had to answer these questions in detail and present why this might be a good business partner for University of Phoenix. Let me show you how crazy this looks and what I did. This is my stack for our University of Phoenix business questions. It's 5 pages long, but it's only 5 topics like we just did in this stack. And I'll pass it around and let you see them. But the crazier you make the visuals, okay, the more easy it is to recall. That's just a summary on that page. Okay? So you might, there's a goalpost on that page, you might see that. So one of the topics, what are your goals for this business? How can we help you achieve those? Okay? We talked about expectations of an education partner. That was a topic there. You know? So we were talking to the CEOs of the business, the CLOs, CIOs, What is it that we can do for your employees to help train your employees? So these were specific questions that we needed to ask. Crazy pictures, right? But I'll tell you what, the nice thing was, this went like wildfire around the country. There are 500 representatives that we were training in this new technique. And this was the communication stack that we used that helped people memorize these questions and be able to use them. So you can use this in any way, build the crazy images in your mind, be able to recall any lists at any time, and just have fun with it. So there's your education moment for the day.
One question, we have time for a question? Sure. First of all, thank you so much for coming here. Speaking of communication, can you maybe touch base real quick? We've all heard the elevator speech. I mean, you brought up that example when you finally want to talk to him or her, and oftentimes you don't have 5 or 10 minutes for a conversation. Sometimes you're in an elevator. That's where that came, right? What advice can you give us on a 1 or 2 minute opportunity or time window and what we should try to accomplish in that time?
Great question, thank you. Jeremy,
Yeah,
right?
that's fantastic.
So in that, and definitely something I rehearsed a lot, I worked in Delaware for a while, and we had that elevator and practiced that speech because I worked on the same floor as the senior people in the company for Bank One. So you get that moment with that person, and before that hits the bottom floor, you want to tell them, what are the projects you're working on? How is it affecting them? Right? You want to talk about something they're interested in. So make sure you know who the top level people are and what they're looking for. Maybe there's something you can ask of them. Hey, just by the way, I wonder if you could tell me about this. Maybe it's information you need, maybe it's an introduction to somebody. Okay? So tell them about what you're working on, tell them how it affects them, and maybe ask them for something as well.
Great, thank you.
Very good.
Appreciate it.
I remember 20 years ago, I heard a Dale Carnegie tape, and there was in a portion of it, maybe you can help refresh my memory, but Dale Carnegie had a way of being able to memorize somebody's name, whether you're at a networking event. Are you familiar with it? Can you maybe present it?
Yeah, that one, it's great. You associate it with some, again, it's a visual. Our minds recall images much better than they recall words. So again, this is something that they do in their keynote course on the very first night. And in my first class, there were 36 of us in that class, a big room of people, and that was the goal, is to remember every one of those names. And I looked in my book, I left it in the car, the one that I didn't bring in, and I wrote down not only first names, but last names as well. So what you do is you associate it with some kind of an image, whether it rhymes or whether it's something that you like to do. Mine was Ronda Honda. So you picture Ronda on a big motorcycle, a big Harley. So you give people this image. Kind of unlikely for me to be sitting on a big Harley, right? But it's a visual that they get and they remember it. Okay? So and then repetition's the big thing. So you start at one place, you tell a little bit of a story about it, you go to the next person, they repeat that person, they introduce theirs. It's kind of like I'm going on a picnic game. Have you ever played that with your kids? It's crazy. So someone's going to take this, and the next person's going to take that. So this is repeating the name and the visual associated with that person's name as well.
I'm going to have Ronda Honda in my mind after this.
Yeah. I'm going to have a football-sized nameplate.
Thank you, Ronda.